Well, Orange County, after what, 40 some odd days, they finally hit the back of the net with a goal. Two goals and one own goal over the weekend. So we figured out scoring again. Unfortunately, we didn't figure out winning yet, or at least drawing. Who knows? We'll get into that. We'll talk about that and a little bit more, hopefully. Let's get this thing started. Welcome to the show of champions. This is the Orange and Black Soccer Cast. How's it going, Orange County? Welcome to another episode of the Orange and Black Soccer Cast, the first and only show dedicated to Orange County Soccer Club, its fans, and supporters. I'm your host, Ray Samora, and I'm going to take you through this journey as we discuss all things Orange County Soccer Club. Helping me out for this episode, first we've got Dylan. Dylan, how does it feel to at least see Orange County score over the weekend?
Good feels.
Don't think about the loss. Don't think about the result. Just think about they scored. I mean, again, over a month with no goal. How does it feel?
Really struggling to think of.
You know, I need more energy in this. Let me bring the energetic one in here. Larry, jump on here. Larry, how does it feel to finally see Orange County score after such a long drought, such a horrific period?
Dear God in heaven, who cares? No, I'm kidding. I care. I absolutely care. It was nice to see those goals. Zubak scored two really nice goals. They were both good finishes. He had a really, really good opportunity for a third in the first half. Didn't quite get it past the goalie. So it was great to see the ball go in the back of the net. And hey, you know, we did score 3 goals and Las Vegas only scored 2. So I guess we have that going for us, even though they won the game. I don't know.
And one of Vegas's goal was on a PK, right?
Yes, it was.
And that was a hard one. That was a tough one. I guarantee you that doesn't get called 100% of the time, but it got called in this match. Orange County, in the end, Orange County still comes up a goal short against Vegas, a team who probably the first time we've ever said was the favorite on paper heading into this match. But again, I guess I'm the only one that was at least excited to see the ball hit the back of the net for Orange County, a brace from Ethan Zubak. And hopefully that turns things around. Oh, and we didn't mention, it was the debut of a new head coach, the third for the team this season. A lot to break down on this match, the coaching change, all the interesting stuff that has happened. Dylan, I'm going to go to you first. What do you want to talk about first, the coaching change or the match?
We can talk more about the coaching change later, I think. But while the highlights are up, let's talk about this match. This was the first time that Orange County, well, I was going to say has scored in recent memory, and that's true. This also feels like one of the first times Orange County's looked really dominant at the beginning of a match and has actually done something with that. I hope they take a lot of confidence. I know it doesn't end well, and that hopefully doesn't knock them too bad, but I hope we take confidence from that first 45 minutes and go like, all right, sweet, let's do it again. I would say next week, but after the bye.
Let me ask you, Larry, then, since we're talking about the match, you were close to the action on Ethan's goals.
Oh yeah.
What did you see differently from him, from the team, or just in general from all the missed opportunities from previous matches for Ethan and the rest of the team? What did you see different out of the?
First of all, let's talk about that chip from Seth Sipley. How fantastic was that? That was absolutely beautiful. Just can't not enough good things I can say about that in particular. What I liked about Ethan's 2 goals, and I was right there, literally right on top of him, just feet away from it. Both times he was very calm. He was very collected. Those were really good goal scorer type goals. He didn't try to do too much. He brought that ball down from Seth, put a foot to it, a little outside of his right foot, flick into the back of the net. And they were really solid, really controlled goals. And I loved seeing that from him. His other opportunities, again, man, he had a header opportunity. I don't know if this is it right here or not. It might be. Cameron's so much fun to watch when he's on the ball like that. He was
This was his second goal, Larry.
That's his second one right there. Yeah, see, just brought it down with that right foot and then just finished really calm. Didn't get overexcited, didn't try to do too much, just, flick it into the back of the goal. And that's what a goal scorer does. And my hope is that this really just takes the monkey off of Ethan's back and he just goes on a incredible goal scoring run like I think he's capable of doing. And by the way, he pushed him from behind there, Ray. I don't know what you're talking about, how that's never called. That's a penalty all day. You can't put a forearm in the middle of the guy's back and push him. It's not
for those not watching the video stream of this, what Larry is referencing is we do have a highlight going on the show, and it just jumped to the penalty on Dylan Powers in the box, and that's what he was commenting on, not on something that happened during Ethan's goals.
No,
but Dylan, let me get your opinion on it. Is that a call 100% of the time, or are there moments that you could see where that call does not get made in that moment? Because the player is stumbling forward when the contact is made. He's off balance already when the contact is made.
That doesn't change the fact that Dylan Powers makes no attempt to play the ball. Therefore, it is a penalty. That being said, Ray, because you love to do this, it won't get called 100% of the time because some referees are just not very good. It's something I do when I'm playing Sunday League and I get beat. I'll just they start to swing their leg back to get a kick, and I just a little tap just to throw them off balance a little bit because no one's going to do anything about it in Sunday League. You're not going to get away with
Larry. I'm going to challenge you, Larry. Go watch a bunch of soccer and see how many times players get nudged while they're attempting a shot in the box and there's no call made. I'm just going to say that. Just do that for me, Larry.
Well, I don't watch baseball anymore, and all I watch is soccer. I watch lots of soccer as it happens. By the way, my Sunderland Black Cats still haven't lost. I just had to bring that up.
We're 8 minutes in.
No, Dylan just groaned. Hey,
I didn't do it.
It's the new Ray / Tottenham thing. Larry talking about Sunderland. They're playing good. It doesn't matter how many times it's called. It's a penalty. It's a penalty. Unless it's Dylan's Sunday League, then it's not a penalty. You just give him that little shove. No big deal. In a professional game, and at that point, it's a penalty.
We could agree to disagree because I've seen numerous times where if a player's already off balance, the call's not going to get made, even if it's in the box. But that's, again, we're not going to agree on this. I don't think I'm going to change your minds. You're not going to change mine on this. That's where we are. Dylan, you're unmuting because I figure you want to make one last comment on this, though. Go for it, Dylan.
Yeah, I wanted to actually just kind of segue into looking at the second half versus the first half, and the second half seemed a little more Orange County of old, or at least Orange County of the first half of this year. Would you find that, Larry? We'll go to you. I mean, is that true? Does that feel accurate?
Being down there pitch side, I only got to see portions of the second half on the replay. I didn't get the opportunity today or yesterday to watch the entirety of the second half. It seemed to me that things got a little bit sloppy in the second half, especially after they scored that first goal and then after they got the second goal to tie it up. We weren't crisp with the ball. Again, gave it away. And even on that last goal when they scored, down there, we're down the right side of the pitch. I think it's coming up right here. I mean, we just that pass. I don't even know who made that pass, but it was not a good pass. It was slow. It was a little bit lazy, and it made it very easy for Las Vegas to step right in and just take that ball away, and then go down and get a shot on goal that bounces off our player, and all of a sudden they're up 3-2, and we're trying to figure out what the hell just happened again.
Go ahead, Dylan.
Ray, just go for it, bud.
No, I was gonna ask. I'll get to my biggest gripe with the second half there and sort of tactical gripe here. But let me ask you this, Dylan, because we saw the return of plenty of players that have been MIA for Orange County for a long stretch of time. Thomas Among made his way back into the lineup. We saw Kevin Partita make his way back into the lineup. How exciting was that to see? And then how much of an impact do you think that had in that second half when we started subbing in these players that have gone long stretches without much playing time? Did that maybe play a factor into the final result in your mind?
Probably does. Those are players that need to get minutes. I think part of the bigger thing is we've just been on this skid, and you need things to just be fresh. And that's no disrespect to the guys that have been playing through this skid, but hey, if a Thomas Among can come in, that means Ethan Zubak doesn't have to play. Now, that being said, Ethan Zubak obviously scored a brace, had a chance for another on the weekend, so he probably deserves to start again. But he's also played a lot of minutes over the last 2 months, and up until last week was going through a bit of a drought. So, I think as much as we want to blame it on maybe new players coming in and players who are match fit coming in, we got a new coach like 4 days before this. So there's a slightly different style of play. And you can see that it seems like at 2-2, we were trying to, and late on in the game, Jameson's tired. It seems like a situation where you try and slow the game down a little bit instead of playing it up the wings and trying to cross it how we did at the beginning. That worked really well. But Las Vegas adjusted to that really well, and we had nothing to offer going for it. Makes sense to try and hold on to the ball there and salvage at least a result. One bad pass, it happens. Oh well, I bet Owen Lamb doesn't make that pass next week. 2 weeks from now, whatever, week and a half. It's still going to take a little bit of time now because we have this weird adjustment phase of, there's a new coach, and now we're doing something different for the third time this season. Well, we're not that far out of a playoff spot, even if this is the first time that we've dropped out of a playoff spot this season.
The hard part with this game, and we've talked about this past, and the beautiful part of this game is one mistake or one thing goes right and it changes the whole result of the game. Dylan brought up the tactical adjustments there in the second half, and here's my biggest gripe with what happened there in the second half with bringing in the subs that we brought in. Basically, right before that winner for Las Vegas, we basically go to one attacker, a bunch of midfielders and defenders. There's not really any secondary attacking option. There's no attacking options, true winger attacking options. So when we do give up that third goal to Vegas, I'm looking at it as like, there's nothing we're going to be able to do to try and salvage a result here and get a point because we don't have any attacking options except for Thomas Among on the pitch. And we had made our 5 substitutions at that point. I understand what you're saying, Dylan, is it looked like we're trying to salvage 1 point in there. We hoped we could get 3. They came back, equalized. Now let's just hold off and get the point. But I feel like you need to leave yourself something in case tragedy strikes, which it did, to be able to at least have a hope of getting something back. And I think with what we had tactically, because we only had Thomas Among and a bunch of midfielders, like center midfielders, not really wingers or attacking midfielders, it was pretty much the end of the match. Do you agree with me on that, Larry, or am I being a little bit too harsh?
No, I don't think you're wrong there at all. You could, again, being right there pitch side, I could see it. Ethan was gassed by probably the 75th minute. The guy had nothing left, and I give him all the credit in the world and just mad respect for still just emptying the tank, and you could see it. You could see it when he walked off the side of the pitch. We sometimes make jokes about mouth breathers. When Ethan's out there, he's a mouth breather, but not in the bad way. It's the good way. But when you don't have any other scorers who are on the bench, what do you go to? We can't expect that Kevin Partita is going to come in after being out for 3 months and put a goal in the back of the net coming in the 82nd minute. We can pray and hope that Tomas can do that because he is a natural goal scorer. That is his job. That's what he does. But again, he hasn't been on the pitch in 2 months, 6 weeks, something like that. I've lost track at this point. So yeah, I don't think you're off the mark at all. It felt like when those subs all came on as they did, that it was okay. You know what? The gaffer, he's here. He's going to try and at least salvage 1 point out of this. And end of the day, it didn't work. You know, that's what happens sometimes.
And here's where, again, my frustration will come in on this. And again, it's first match. I'm sure we'll see different things going forward. But I'm going to go back to what our good friend Alan Underwood used to always say. You go for 3 points at home, you go for 1 point on the road. And, conceding basically that you're just trying to keep 1 point at home is a little disappointing. When you don't have really attackers available to come in off the bench to help out. Yes, you brought Thomas Among in, you replaced Bryce Jamison. You bring in then Ashish Chada for Ethan Zubak. Okay, now you have two attackers really left there in Among and Cameron Dunbar. And then you bring Partita in for Dunbar. And it's just, again, you got to really hope for and go for the 3 points at home. And even if you do concede something, you've put yourself now in a position you're not coming back at that point because you don't have the attackers. So that's my biggest problem with it. Again, first coaching, first game at the helm for our coach. He's only been there for a few weeks now, or a couple weeks now, as an assistant. And yeah,
Ray, let me go back for a second. And let me ask you a question. The team and Dylan, you can answer this question too. The team not having any other goal scorers that they can bring in other than one guy who hasn't been on the pitch since June 29th. Okay. Does that fall on the shoulders of the front office?
Well,
and not having brought in, look, they brought in a great player in Chris Haggart. Chris Haggart is not Brian Ilosky, but he's awfully damn good. And if I can't have Brian Ilosky, I'll take Chris Haggart every day of the week.
Well, and he's dangerous on the attack. So that's someone that you can have as an attacker, but he came out earlier in the match as well. You took out every single attacker knowing that you don't have any attackers on the bench except for a very rusty Thomas Among. So you're basically saying we're going for 1 point. If we concede a goal, we basically are losing this match. There's no way we're coming back. That's my problem with it. And I know you want to say, look at the front office, but as a coach, you got to look at that as say, well, then I need to ask at least one of my wingers, whether it's, Jamison came out for Thomas Among. So I have to ask Cameron Dunbar, can you please try and just finish out this match? I know you're exhausted. I know you're gassed, but we need at least that second dangerous option up top. In the event we go down, or in the event we get an opportunity to take the win. So I get you're looking at the front office, but basically all of our attacking options were on the field except for Thomas Among, and they all slowly came off throughout the match. And that's just the concern I have is you basically left yourself with no attack for the final, 10 minutes of the match when you include the added time, the bonus time there. So that was just my biggest headache or issue with it is the worst thing happened. You went to basically a defensive lineup, only one attacker that's rusty. The rest of it's strong middle midfielders, defenders. And what happens a minute after we bring in Kevin Partita, a winning goal for Las Vegas. Now there's no way we can fight back and claw back into it with the lineup that we had. I knew once that third goal for Vegas went in, I knew the match was over. That's just in my mind because we don't have anyone to attack. And that's because slowly and thoroughly throughout the match, all of our attackers got subbed out for non-attackers. That's my biggest thing.
And that's what I'm talking about. And Dylan, please step in anytime here. Is it on the front office that the team doesn't have enough attackers? The only attacker left on the bench is although I got a lot of respect for the kid, an incredibly unproven Nico Ruiz. So where does that? Is it that Stone just didn't know his players because he hasn't been here long enough? Is it that the front office didn't put enough attackers on the roster to start with? And don't get me wrong, don't mistake what I'm saying here. Any front office people, I ain't bashing you. That's not what I'm doing here. I'm just posing a question for us to discuss.
Judge Dylan, who's right, me or Larry?
It's not you, Ray. It's never you.
Never you.
It was
This
never
is a
you.
biased
But it's
judgment
also
right
it's not Larry. And I don't mean to speak ill of the labor on Labor Day, but the team brought in a forward in Ethan Zubak, who had scored 27 goals in USL, who had scored 3 goals in MLS, 2 goals in the Open Cup. The front office brought in a player in Cameron Dunbar, who had already scored 15 goals in USL play. They didn't take a punt on unproven players. They signed players that are good at this level. They signed players that played in MLS, kind of fringe MLS player, squad MLS player, who wanted to jumpstart their careers. So far, through poor service and poor finishing, they haven't gotten it done. So no, I don't think it's on Danny Stone for trying to get his players fit after 2 and 4 months, respectively. No, I don't think it's on the front office. And I bet that if we played a bunch of the kids from the 2 team, things probably wouldn't be any better. So maybe we should all stop commenting that on Instagram. I don't pick the team on the weekends. But if you look at Las Vegas's, no, I'm gonna overrule you for a second. If you look at Las Vegas's subs, look at who came into this match: Charlie Adams, Solomon Asante.
I hear he's good.
3 guys with a lot of USL experience. There's probably a reason that they got back into this game and really just kind of grabbed a stranglehold and got 3 points as a result. Okay, go ahead, Ray.
Yeah, no. I understand what you're saying, Dylan. And I sort of agree with you on this. My biggest gripe was taking out all of your attackers to bring in those midfielders. You got to leave at least one last attacker.
And I will say again,
to help out.
Did you leave Ethan's, or actually for the first time, I just thought it earlier.
You leave Cameron Dunbar.
You leave Ethan Zubak out there, and he's already gassed, and he gets an injury, and now we have an unfit Thomas Among to start the next game, and that's it. Because those are 2 different players, and we're back to square one.
You leave Cameron Dunbar in there. You leave Cameron Dunbar in there. He hasn't been running as hard as Ethan did in that match and working as hard. Now, by all means, I don't know. Maybe there's a reason Cameron came out at the time that he did for Kevin Partita. But again, you have to leave a second attacker in there in the event that the worst case scenario happens, which in fact did happen in this match, because once that happened, we had no answer to try and score another goal. And that was my biggest gripe with it. Other than that, you heard me on the intro. I was excited. We got goals. We looked good. It looked like we were going to get a result. But in the end, it all fell apart, and we had no answer now for the final 10 minutes of the match. Dylan, you had your hand up, and then we'll move on because I don't want to bash our new coach, one match into this. I get it.
Too late, buddy. You already did.
I'm just saying my tactical gripe with this match, and I could be wrong. Hey, tell me if I'm wrong. That's great. I know you 2 have told me I'm pretty much wrong, but this is my observation for what I was seeing in the match as, a somewhat coach, as youth soccer coach. I would never take all my attackers out with no option of having another attacker in there. I'd leave at least 2 attackers in the match at all times, because things can hit the fan and then you don't have any answer, especially at this level where you can't resub back players that you took out, unlike my youth soccer coaching. So again, that's all I'm saying. But if you don't agree with me, you don't have to. That's the fun part of this show. That's the fun part about what we do here is we all have our opinions on what we're seeing and what we watch, and we don't have to agree. And you don't have the listeners. Every single listener can say, nope, Ray's stupid, Ray's wrong. But guess what? 80% of the listeners think I'm smart or I say smart stuff. So this could be one of those smart things as well. Last comments from each of you before we move on past this.
One of the things that the listeners are saying right now is, how many legitimate scorers do you have on a 10U soccer team?
Well, let me correct you. It's U13, not 10 U10. So we play 11v11, and
Even
my
fewer.
team has 5 legit goal scorers that can score. That I'm confident.
Sounds like
in
Orange
scoring
County.
goals.
I think we have more goal scorers than that. And one of them's our goalkeeper. Right. To leave 2 attackers on the field. I'm just saying Ryan Flood was on the field for 95 minutes in this match.
Dylan, your microphone's breaking up.
Aw.
No, repeat that last sentence. Go.
Okay. I'm just saying Ryan Flood was on the field for 95 minutes. So there was another attacker. There was a second attacker on the grassy knoll in Irvine on Saturday night.
I don't know.
He's a fullback by nature of like, he's just not as good as Cameron Dunbar at being direct and doesn't cut inside because he's left-footed. So why doesn't he get moved? We could do this all night, but I really am just.
You're wanting to prove me
fault,
wrong.
man.
That's all it is. Dylan wants to prove me wrong with whatever he can pull out of his magic hat. And unfortunately, I don't put Ryan Flood at that level of pure attacker. I put him at that level of more of a midfield type attacker that can contribute to the final goal, but he's not going to be the one that's going to be the dangerous one on goal for you, like some of the other players we have on the team. That's all I'm going to say there. Let's talk about this. Hey, guess what, fans? You're going to at least go through this weekend without experiencing a loss because Orange County doesn't play this weekend. Thus, that's the reason we had this extended conversation about the Vegas match and about tactics, I guess. Let me ask you all this. And I know we're past the sort of rivalry because both teams have not sort of been good together that well. But how does it feel to have a Phoenix manager at the helm of Orange County? Dylan, I'll go to you first.
Well, he's not employed by Phoenix, so I don't understand your question.
Okay, a former Phoenix manager at the helm. What about you, Larry? How does it feel?
You know what? I don't know a lot about Danny Stone. I'm not going to pretend to. Hell, on my intro video going into the game a week or so ago, I said Danny Robles, who is a guy who I went to high school with, as opposed to saying Danny Stone. So I want to get to know him. I want to see what his tactics are. I would like to go back and maybe try and watch some Phoenix games from last year. I don't know if those can even be found anywhere, probably on YouTube, maybe. I would like to see what he can implement. But here's what I know. He is not in Arizona anymore. He is in Orange County. Just like Pat Rakowski is not in Orange County anymore. He is out in Phoenix. And God love him, he is not ours anymore. And Danny Stone now is ours. And he is the man who is leading this team. And he took a pretty mediocre squad to the trophy last year.
Well, let me jump on this because wasn't he an assistant with Phoenix last year?
He was an assistant, and then he took over as the head coach to the best of my recollection. I could be wrong. Happens all the time.
Okay. So
yeah,
the Chaplow.
Right. So, and I think that we all need to learn more about him, see what his tactics are, see what he can do, see how the players respond to it. Is there enough time in this season with only 8 games to go to really see what can be implemented by Coach Stone? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. But if he gets a shot, to be the top dog next year, and he's got the team from the first day of training camp all the way to the end of the season, you never know what you might see.
All right. Dylan, any last thoughts on this?
I believe you referred to it as pulling a Chaplow, which is really pulling a Carlson who pulled a Chaplow who pulled a Cloutier. So,
well, no, because Larry was talking about he led him to the championship last year after he took over. That's what Chaplow did, and then what happened to Chaplow the rest of his time as the head coach? It wasn't the most successful time period. I'm not trying to bash Chaplow, but it wasn't the most success. And we're talking about Danny Stone, who was on Phoenix to start this year as the head coach, and a couple months in, they sacked him. So, what does that tell us?
It tells us that as bad as everybody that's listening probably thinks things are for Orange County right now, I can promise you things are much worse in Phoenix. And I'm not just talking about the fact that it's probably 100 degrees and raining there and all the other reasons Phoenix is a horrible place. I'm talking about the fact that the fans have lost faith and the owners are arguing on Twitter or whatever Brandon McCarthy's up to these days. Things are objectively worse there. they cast off somebody way too soon. Hey, thanks. We'll take a punt on that. He did his time as an assistant. He's been successful. There's a reason that he's been handed like the keys to the nice car that is just not running super well, and we're saying, hey bud, just be nice to her.
He's borrowing that car right now. He's not the permanent coach. He's on a interim basis, so he's sort of borrowing there. He's test driving the car, and the team is sort of watching what he's doing with that car.
Did we all know that when is our next game? The 14th? Is that correct? Does that sound right?
Sure, that sounds perfect, Larry. You go for it.
The
14th is correct. It's against Rhode Island.
Yeah, and that is also going to be Mr. Danny Stone's 42nd birthday. So here's an idea for your birthday this year. How about giving us a win, Danny? We appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, you guys are going way too hard in the sky.
Well,
I will echo again.
No.
You had 4 days to say, hey, we're not playing how we used to. We're doing this now.
Why does he have to give us a victory for his birthday? Shouldn't be the players should play hard enough and get a victory for the gaffer, right?
I don't give a crap who gives us the win. I want somebody to give us the damn win.
Larry, for your
Listeners
birthday, I want
out
you
there,
to give
do
me
you
a
agree
gift.
with me?
Hey, Larry, for your next birthday, I want you to give me a gift.
I'll give you the gift of letting you come and hang out with me. I am the gift that keeps on giving, baby.
Oh man, this is going down the drain quick here, Dylan. Get control of your podcast, man.
You think I would let this happen? You don't think I command a level of decorum that you don't?
So here's what we're gonna do, folks. Again, no opponent this weekend for Orange County. You get the weekend off from watching Orange County play, and you're guaranteed you're not going to have to watch a loss or even a draw for Orange County. Hopefully, in a week and a half or little under 2 weeks, you get a victory for Danny Stone's birthday. The players play extra hard to do that. We're going to give you some time back here because there's not much more for us to talk about. But before we do, I want to ask and just make sure there's nothing else Dylan or Larry want to talk about on this episode. And then we'll get on to the
match.
What's up, Dylan?
What did we learn from this match?
Well, no, I just want, before we get to what did we learn, I want to just ask, is there any other things that we want to talk about soccer-wise? I know Larry already dropped in his Sunderland reference, so.
Till I die, baby.
No,
okay.
There's not.
No.
All right, then. Dylan, what did you learn on this episode?
That even in a massive skid, Orange County figured out a game plan against a team and executed it quite well and actually scored first, which has been a rare occurrence for Orange County.
Larry, what about you? What did you learn this episode?
I learned that even in the most miserable of times, when you're following a team that you love, you can still get 3 podcast guys who can get together and make an interesting conversation for 35 minutes.
Well, it would have helped if we had our heel, the masked heel in Brad here to sort of be villainous on this, but he wasn't here. No worries. We still made this work. What did I learn this episode? I learned that in Larry's world, the birthday person is the one that gives the gift to everyone else. So again, when Larry's birthday comes up, folks, feel free to message him on social media or at the game and say, hey, I want a gift, Larry, and he should give it to you because he expects the birthday person to provide the gift. That's what I learned in this episode, and you can't fight that back, Larry, because we can roll the tape back if we had to.
I'm not going to fight it, but what I am going to say is that right up until she passed away, I used to send my mother flowers on my birthday every single year because thank you, Mom, for having me. Gotcha, baby. What you going to do now?
She did all the hard work, but
you just validated my what I learned. So thank you.
Hey, we actually, to bring things back on track, maybe you missed. Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe you missed this match and you're wondering, why are these 3 morons yelling at each other on the internet? I often ask myself that question too, but you can actually get caught up on this match a little bit better than the recap from the USL by visiting our website and reading what DK had to write about this match. That is orangeandblacksoccercast.com, or more easily, OCSCpodcast.com. And in case you aren't good at typing in links, you can find us on social media at OCSC_soccercast, just about everywhere. Instagram's the big one. We Twitter, is this still a thing? Did they go under yet? I've been under a rock. I don't know it. I think Ray's gone straight edge on us.
It's called
which
X.
explains
Dylan.
his
It's called
attitude.
X.
Oh, I'm sorry. But of course, yeah, we do a decent job of getting written content out there and getting content out there on social media as well. So if you missed something, you can catch up and you can support us at the same time.
And the guys who are doing the writing are doing an absolutely amazing job. DK, who I'm still going to call Keith. I don't care what everybody else does. Keith and Nathan are just they kill it week after week. Dylan steps in and puts some stuff out there as well. The writing stuff is almost as entertaining as the actual podcast.
But it's a lot more educational. It's a lot more educational.
It's a lot better.
It's way more educational. There's no question there. But yeah, so if you guys out there listening are not looking at the written content that's being put out there by the team, do so. You're missing out.
Hey, and I want to say, because Dylan was giving out like the different ways you can find us. If you don't want to type as many letters as Dylan was mentioning, you can also just go type ocsepod.com to find us too. So that's even less letters for you. That's 7 letters inside the address there. And we know that link works, or that works, because I believe someone has found us by searching for OCSE pod in the past. If I'm correct, we got a group email regarding the driving of one of our hosts.
You could say it's you, buddy.
Yeah,
it was your driving abilities. Hey, it's Labor Day, and your beloved, this is maybe the point I'm trying to make, your beloved Orange and Black Soccer Cast people are laboring, if what you can call the last 40 minutes was laboring. Mostly a serious comment. Shout out to the USL Players Association on what they've managed to get done for players in the last couple of years. And yeah, happy Labor Day to you. Shout out to the massive labor struggle that got us to weekends and 8-hour workdays and your kids going to school instead of dying in mines.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap things up. We're going to give you about 20 minutes back of your time that we normally give you on this podcast, or take away from on this podcast. So for my co-host Dylan, Larry, producer Andy, thank you for listening. All of you that were listening live or that listen in podcast form, thank you for participating in this. This is the Orange and Black Soccer Cast. We are out.